Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is May 23rd, 2021. You're now watching Real Talk with Ronnie. I believe there seems to be a bit of a lag, so I apologize for that. Okay, guys, we are back. It is May 23rd. I apologize for the bit of a lag. There seems to be a lag. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So I think we are back. Okay, we're back. So I apologize for that lag. Sometimes the internet connections is not too great. But welcome to Real Talk with Ronnie. It is May 23rd, 2021, and we are here live tonight. Tonight we have two very special guests. The first guest, Mike Reyes, is a good friend of mine. We met when we were abroad a few years ago. He has been in New York City the past few years. He's an entrepreneur. He was the chairman of the Harlem GOP Club. He has since relocated to Texas. And actually, the last time we spoke to him was before the 2020 race. I think it was around in October or November, but it was before the incidents of November and everything that ensued for the following few months. So it'll be very interesting to to get his take on the election, on the aftermath, and basically just to catch up with him to see what he's up to now. Later on our show, our second guest is also a great friend of mine. His name is Joe Viso Jr. He is an electrician, a small business owner, and he is running for state assembly here in New Jersey for the 36th legislative district. So we're very happy to catch up with Joe Viso later on. But without further ado, let's bring on Mike Reyes. Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, baby. I'm in Texas. There's no state income tax and there's no capital gains tax. So I'm doing amazing.
Okay, so Mike Reyes is in the Lone Star State, Texas. So, Mike, why don't you tell us? We got a lot to catch up on, right? The last time we spoke, I think, was I want to say in October, right? And you actually came on this show a few times prior. I think you've been on like 2-3 times. So you're a good friend of the show. And so let's go back in time to November. The events of what happened that night. I believe it was November 4th, right?
Yes, 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. So, Mike, on that fateful night, what were you doing?
Well, I was at a campaign party for some local candidates we were working on their campaigns for, and we thought that Trump had it in the bag. It was around 11 p.m. local time in Michigan, I believe, and he was leading in the, Michigan, Georgia, Pennsylvania, all the contested states by a large margin. And I was like, well, he's going to win. So I'm going to go home and go to sleep. And I woke up the next morning and to my surprise, suddenly Joe Biden was leading in all the states that are contested right now to this day still. So yeah, it was a big shock. But I think that at the time, it looked like we were going to win again. And I was really excited. And then the next morning it was just, what the heck is going on? And then we had the 3 days after that from Thursday, I believe it was Wednesday to Friday, where Biden was catching up, even in Pennsylvania, where Trump was leading by 800,000 votes. And I was like, there's no way he's going to catch up. I texted a couple of my friends, he's always going to catch up in that state at least. And Biden somehow overtook him. And Saturday, Fox News announced that Biden had won Pennsylvania and all these states in contention. And he was the presumptive presidential candidate, presidential person to be, rather, you would say, I guess you could say.
Right. So, I think the response is pretty much the same to everyone that I've spoken to, right? That night, it seemed that Trump was winning, right? I believe at 11:30, Florida was called for him, and Ohio, right? He had won those 2 crucial states. And in every other swing state, or the states that he needed to win in, he was ahead, right? He was ahead in Pennsylvania, ahead in Michigan, ahead of, I believe, Wisconsin, right? And a bunch of states that he needed to be ahead, and he was ahead, right? So all looked good. And then somewhere around, I want to say like midnight or 1 a.m., they said, oh, we're going to stop the counting for the night. It's getting late. And I thought that was kind of odd, right? And then like the next morning, when everybody woke up, somehow Biden had taken the lead in a lot of these states, right? So a lot of questions started to pop up. Now, in the aftermath of what happened, there was a rally in D.C., right, that turned into the storming of the Capitol. Were you in D.C.?
I was in D.C. and there was no storming of the Capitol. Generally speaking, it was a very peaceful protest. Nobody had guns. They said that we had weapons. Nobody had weapons on them. There were some people that might have done some things that were a little bit, in mob mentality.
Right.
They looked a little bit negative, but generally speaking, everybody that was there, I would say like 95% of people there were there peacefully protesting, and they were there to defend the president at the time.
Right.
So I do not buy into the fact that, the media hype. To this day, they have the new January 1st or January 6th committee that a lot of Republicans voted for, by the way. I believe 35 rhinos voted for that. And that, in my mind, is complete BS. It was, generally speaking, a peaceful protest, like I had said before. And I think that people, they wanted to set up President Trump. I honestly think that there were people that were members of Antifa that may have been working with people from the Democratic Party, encouraged by them, maybe financed by them, that wanted something like that to go down so that they could President Trump in a negative light and supporters as well. Because to this day, there are people getting arrested, right, and many, many, many Republicans that live in fear in states like New York and New Jersey and Rhode Island. And the major reason why I came to Texas is because of them. I don't want to live in a state where people look at me and they're like, you're a Republican. And they paint us in a negative light, right? We're just normal human beings, and we voted a certain way. You shouldn't just because you agree with somebody politically doesn't mean that you should look at them as evil, right? So
right,
we look at Democrats as people that have a political view, but they're wrong. We look at us as people that are inherently evil, and in my opinion, it's wrong.
Right. Okay, so just to go back to the quote unquote storming of the Capitol, right? So you were there that day, and did you watch the president speak?
Yes, I was there. And yes, it was my second time in DC, actually. The first time I'd gone to DC was for the original Stop the Steal rally, which was amazing. And we went that day, January 6th, to see the president speak. It was amazing. I had never seen so many people in my life. I lived in China with you. And, Bangkok is very dense, and so is Bangkok, Hong Kong, and Shanghai can get dense too. But I've never seen so many people in such a small space in my life. So it was very inspiring. It started off as a beautiful day. Vernon Jones spoke. He became a Republican. Now he's running for governor of Georgia. We had many great speakers besides them, and Rudy Giuliani was also there. Mike Lindell, Alex Jones. Started off as a great day, and unfortunately, it went. The only thing that we got out of that day was the fact that some people had stormed the Capitol.
Right. Okay. So, you saw Trump speak, and there was nothing in his speech that would have suggested that he was trying to get his supporters to storm the Capitol or to do anything violent, right? No. Okay.
No, he said peacefully. He said, "Let's go peacefully protest."
I believe his words were, "Let's go protest patriotically and peacefully," right?
Yep.
And that's what happened. And actually, if you look at the timeline of the storming of the Capitol versus Trump's speech, I mean, there's no way in physical reality, at least in this dimension, that it could have happened in which Trump incited it and it happened. Because I mean, if you look at the timeline, it's impossible, right?
Yeah, I believe the storming of the Capitol began around like 11:05, and President Trump's speech didn't end until I believe around 12:30, I think, if I remember correctly, in my head at least. Well, yeah. And I didn't get there until around 2 p.m. So there was no way, according to the media's narrative, that we could have stormed Republicans could have stormed the Capitol 11:05 or 11:55, whenever it was, if we were all watching Trump's speech.
Right. After you heard the president's speech, did you mosey on over to the Capitol too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And what did you see there at the Capitol?
Generally speaking, well, there's been a few people. People were just standing there in front of the White House holding Trump flags. It was like a little mini Trump rally. Again, most people weren't doing anything. And I did notice that at one moment in time, there were people that were let into the Capitol. And I even saw on the news on my phone that the guards there, the Capitol Police had let them in. And they even told them, come inside, right? They were able to come inside. So again, if you look at that and you see that people were storming the Capitol, especially when they were walking within the lines, when they were walking into the Capitol, there's no way
Right.
that that was a storming of a Capitol.
Okay, so I mean, you were actually there when the violence started to happen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what type of violence did you see?
I mean, to be honest, the violence that I saw was basically people trying to again, generally speaking, most people were not trying to break in, but some people were trying to physically that weren't let in originally. They were trying to force themselves inside the Capitol. And there were police there, and there were some people that got into little, mini fights with the police. But again, none of us had weapons. 95% of people were peaceful, and
Okay.
generally speaking, nobody broke into the Capitol.
Okay.
Like people were let into the Capitol.
All right. So this was January 6th.
Yes.
What did you do afterwards? Like, how did you spend the ensuing weeks and months after the events of January 6th? After Biden was sworn in, right? What did you do? Like, at what point did you move to Texas? And why did you move to Texas? Like, what was the catalyst that made you say, you know what, I've had it with the East Coast, I've had it with New York City, my home state, my home city. I'm gonna uproot myself and go on down south to Texas.
Well,
Is it because everything is bigger in Texas and there's bigger portions of like steak and food and like everything else?
there's bigger portions of beer. Actually, when I came to Texas last year in September, I ordered a beer and it was like this big, and then when you order beer in New York City, it's like this little tiny thing and it's super
Yeah,
expensive, like
like a
10 bucks.
little tiny cup for like $30.
Yeah, you're in Jersey, it's really similar, right? So yeah, things are big in the state of Texas. But the first thing that I noticed was I played rugby, amateur rugby. I told you that from New York Athletic Club, very prestigious club, a lot of history. Hopefully, I don't mean to talk bad about them. They're an amazing organization. But there were some teammates of mine who I thought were very close friends of mine that saw pictures of me in DC, peacefully and patriotically, making my voice heard. And they tagged the FBI on those pictures. And they were like, oh, he was there. And I thought they were my friends. Apparently they weren't they weren't that close with me because what kind of friends do that, right? So
Basically, like,
said,
I mean, they were trying to rat you out to the FBI, saying that you were part of this protest when actually you were just there, just trying to, be a good citizen, right?
yes. So I was like, well, I can't be here anymore. And I had traveled to Texas because from last year, July to was it November, you knew I was traveling all over the country, and I've been to Texas twice, and I was like, well, this place is great. And just what happens, they don't have any state income tax, and they don't have capital gains tax. I own lots of stocks in the stock market. I own some land here in Texas now. I own lots of cryptocurrency. And I was like, well, capital gains tax, that's pretty rough, especially with Joe Biden's new tax plans. Same reason 50 Cent moved down here. I mean, I'm not at that level. I don't have the money he has, but again, freedom here. You have lots of people don't have to wear masks. They opened their state a long time ago. Even last September, I went to a Dallas Cowboys game when New York was still in lockdown. They weren't allowing games in Jersey and Rhode Island and New York. So again, freedom. People run freely. Right now, don't have to wear masks. No capital gains tax. No state income tax. And people here respect your political beliefs. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, people here get along, generally speaking.
Okay. So which part of Texas are you currently in?
Right now, I'm in Arlington, Texas. I'm at my friend's house at the Garden of Eden, searching for. Sorry.
Wait. So where is Arlington? Is it close to like Dallas, Houston?
It's in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Arlington, Texas is where the Cowboys play. Dallas Cowboys. Texas Ranger Stadium is here, and also the Six Flags Park is here as well. So I'm staying here at my friend's house. I'm helping out, volunteering, just learning a lot from him. Spiritual aspect. He's also helping me a lot with my entrepreneurial endeavors as well. He's very interested in my startup. He said he wants to be a potential investor, and again, he has a few businesses I'm working on as well. I'm learning a lot from him as well. It's almost like a real life MBA program, you could say.
Okay, well, that's great. So do you ever miss New York City?
I miss New York City. I was in New York City last week. I was there. I was in New York
Yeah,
City
yeah.
for 2 weeks for Mother's Day.
You went
I
to New York, and I saw that you contacted me, but I was swamped. So sorry, man. I couldn't meet up.
You have a little
Um,
baby Donald. I understand that, and I understand that you're busy, so it's okay. But it was kind of sudden. I really missed New York. I miss my mom. I miss my family, so I bought a plane ticket over there. I want to see my best friend as well. I was like, I'm gonna stay a week here. Then extended it to 2 weeks, and yeah, it was a last minute
okay.
thing.
Now, Mike, I see that in the past few weeks, you're still involved in campaigns, right? And you're still
Oh
involved
yeah,
in
definitely right now. Yes.
politics, right? Are you still involved with the YAL, the Young Americans for Liberty?
Of course, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm helping them a lot. I have a lot of great friends there. I do some work for them occasionally when I have some free time. I try to help them. I probably shouldn't say this, but I actually try to get Matt Gaetz to speak at their event because we
Right.
know everybody in New York City. We're all connected.
Oh yeah.
And
Speaking of Matt Gaetz, I did notice that Matt Gaetz, because so there was a big story about how Matt Gaetz came to New Jersey, and this was when
yes, I was
this
there.
was
Remember
when
that? We made
yeah,
national news. That was
this was
great.
when like back in February or
That
March
was
or
in. That was for the New York Republicans. Just want to say I'm not representing any organization. I'm just here on my own accord. But I was there I was at the New York Republicans
right. But it
gala,
took place when? It was when? Like in February?
December.
Oh, okay. So it was
Yes.
last year in
Yeah, it
December.
was last year, December.
Yeah, and actually, it was pretty big news, right?
Very
So
big
you
news.
were at a Republican gala that took place in Jersey City, in New Jersey,
Yes. Yes.
and
In secret.
somewhere along the night, Matt Gaetz, congressman from Florida, who's an outspoken, Trump fan, right?
Republican,
Right.
100%.
He crashed the party, right? And he took a few
No, no, no. He
photos.
didn't crash the party. He was invited there.
Okay, so he was
James
invited to the
O'Keefe
party.
and
Yeah,
Matt Gaetz were invited there.
yeah. So he came to the party, and there were photos taken. So I
Yep.
guess you guys had sort of, broken into or snuck into some sort of headquarters or restaurant or something,
No, no,
right?
no, no. The whole event was previously organized. We abided by all the legal wearing mask procedures and
Okay,
everything. But we happened to take some pictures. We weren't wearing masks. Things
okay, yeah,
happen. People want to
that's right.
speak.
The controversy with that was that, yeah, you guys were all partying
Yes.
in Jersey City. It was a big
Very well
group of
dressed, by the
you,
way.
right? It was a big group of you. I
Yes.
think probably around like 40, 50 people, right?
Yes.
And no one in that photo was wearing a mask, right?
One of the pictures
Right,
actually took all the national news outlets that blew us up. They took that picture from my
right,
Instagram,
yeah.
by the way.
And then this was reported like on Fox News. It was reported in a lot of places. And then our Governor Phil Murphy, he tweeted at Matt Gaetz saying that, "Oh, you're not welcome to our state," right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that started like a whole Twitter beef
Yeah. That was
between
great.
Gaetz and Murphy. So yeah, it's funny because when I saw that news on Fox News on TV, and
Like, there's
also
like again.
yeah, and when I saw it on the internet, I saw your photo. Right, you were in that
Yeah,
photo, and
my Instagram.
I was like, oh my gosh, what the hell did Mike Reyes get himself into now? So now he's party hopping with Matt Gaetz, right?
Oh, I want to say
Yeah,
that for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So that was pretty cool, right?
It
Did you
was it
guys?
was great. It was a great event. It was a great night. It's
Yeah,
always great to
did you get to speak to Matt Gaetz and like hang out with him and like party with him?
that night. I took a picture with him, but I know he was busy with everybody else. So I don't want to take time away from anybody else. But he seems like a great guy from what I've seen, and he's
Yeah.
really great energy about him. And, I've met a lot of people on the
Right.
campaign.
You didn't happen to get a cell phone number, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But I'm sure that could be arranged if you wanted it. If you
I
wanted
was
me
going to
to.
say if you have his contact info, it'd be great if we got him on.
Well, we can talk about after the show, but this,
Oh, yeah.
I can always get you contacts if you need them.
All
So
right. Perfect.
as
All
I'm
right.
working on your campaign, by the way,
Oh, thank
congratulations on
you.
getting just want to say congratulations on getting the party line because that's really
Yeah.
difficult to do in Bergen. I've done some work in New Jersey, as part of the tri-state area, and it's very difficult to get the party line in Bergen County.
Right.
It's the biggest county in Jersey.
Yeah, you worked on a few congressional campaigns in Jersey, I believe, last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, what you've done thus far is great, and as long as you can keep raising money,
Right.
you should be able to win easily. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, speaking of raising money, I have my first fundraiser tomorrow night. It's too bad that you can't be there, Mike, because it's in
Don't worry.
person.
I'll get some donations to you. Don't worry. I'll get
Yeah.
something to
No,
you.
no,
I
but
love
no,
donating.
I'm not trying to get money. I'm just saying, it's too bad that you couldn't come. But if you want
I
to
wish I could.
if you want to bundle together like a couple $100,000 and send it to my campaign, I'll definitely take it.
I got to pay New York State taxes now, so I'll give you a couple hundred instead.
All right. Yes.
Blame the New York government for not being not being able to give you more money. Apologies.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So my fundraiser tomorrow will be held in Rochelle Park. It's the first joint fundraiser that I'm having with my running mate. I'm going to have another solo one probably end of June.
Yep.
So yeah, so tomorrow is my first joint one with my running mate, and it should be a fun time. I think there's going to be a lot of people coming.
I wish I could be there.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe during the fundraiser, I'll FaceTime you or something, and then you can be there.
I'll be up there at some point to surprise you. I'll just go up. I'm here.
Awesome. All right. But going back to Matt Gaetz, so he recently he's been under some trouble, right? But I think the trouble that he's allegedly being accused of being in, I think that's a lot of political persecution too, right? What do you think?
I have some context that I've been in this game for a little bit now, so my understanding is that a lot of it is BS and smear campaign.
Right. But it seems like he's kind of like weathered it, right? I think he's okay now.
Yeah, I think
but for like a while, for like a couple news cycles, people in Florida were telling him to step down, and they were ready to say bye bye to him. But I think he's kind of weathered it, and I think he's probably going to get through this, right?
Definitely. And again, it's just a smear campaign. He'll get through this. A great guy, extremely smart. When you get to hear him, like whether I heard him at CPAC or at private events, private club events, the guy's an amazing speaker, really charismatic.
Right.
He really has that Trumpian effect when when you meet him. It's kind of like this guy could be a future president, or at least a vice president or something. I hope that he gets up there.
Right. Well, Mike, let me ask you. So, I know that you were sick and tired of New York City. You were fed up. That's why you got up and left. But can I ask you, why did you choose Texas over Florida? Because it seems like Texas and Florida, these two states are like the only two states right now that are kind of holding down the U.S. Constitution and allowing people to live their lives, right? And these two states right now are flourishing. I believe in Texas, after they got rid of the mask, mandate, cases of COVID actually went down.
Yes.
The same thing in Florida. Florida has been opened
a long time ago.
Fully open for a long time. On Facebook, I see a lot of friends who go to Florida to party, and it's like they're having such a great time, right? They're on the beach, they're out at bars, they're out at restaurants. It's like nothing happened. So why did you decide Texas over Florida?
Right now, I decided Texas because Texas is the Lone Star State, man. It's a different culture down here. Florida, you feel like you have a bunch of New Yorkers there, but Texas is definitely its own culture, its own, very Southern vibe that I kind of blend more with.
But coming from New York, isn't that kind of weird for you? Don't you find the pace of life in Texas like a little bit slower?
No. Dallas is kind of like a mini New York City. All the banks that live in New York City are going to Dallas, and I'm in the tech space, right? Startup. And a lot of the tech companies in San Francisco and New York are going to Austin, Texas. Seems like the place to be. Hey, that might change. I have a friend that wants to move to Miami. She asked me if I wanted to move with her. I was like, sure. Not a relationship, just want to say that. But I'm a really great friend of mine. And hey, I might go to Miami for a little bit. Just, spend time in between both. But as we draw closer to the election next year, Governor Abbott, Texas, and Governor DeSantis of Florida are up for election.
All right.
I definitely want to help DeSantis a lot more than Abbott. I have nothing against him, but DeSantis is definitely a guy that's more of the Trump wing of the party, and Abbott's more establishment. So I definitely wanted to help model a bit more in DeSantis in Florida. So, I'm a guy that I can juggle 5 or 6 things at a time. So I definitely want to work on campaigns next year. And I also have a really great friend of mine in Harlem that I went to visit when I was in New York. I had a lot of meetings in New York. I don't post that stuff on Instagram. I only post the social stuff, but I had a lot of meetings in New York. I have a friend that's working for a project in Florida, a company in Florida, rather, an organization, nonprofit, rather, Rhino Project. She has $1 million budget. They're trying to take out rhinos in Florida mostly, and they're trying to go throughout the whole country, and I definitely want to be a part of that.
Okay.
So I think that long-term, Texas is where I'm going to stay at, but who knows? Maybe in the next couple months, move to Florida for a year or two.
All right. Do you have a girlfriend out in Texas, Mike?
Oh damn! I wasn't prepped for this. No, I don't. But hey, maybe that's what I like. I don't know. But like, let's just business first. So part of the reason why I've been MIA this past week.
Right? Okay, good.
Yeah, but the past week I've been MIA. Like I've been trying to stay off of social media as much as possible. I posted here and there, but I'm really focusing on two things right now: business, spiritual growth. Politics will come in later, but definitely business first. Again, I was in New York City. I posted stuff on Instagram about like me part and this and that. No, but I was there for business. My meetings there were amazing, and I need to see where I can go from here to grow my business. And then once that is stable, then I can start to think about maybe dating somebody. And then after that, then I'm going to focus on the elections next year, 2022.
Okay, great. Mike, predictions. What do you think is going to happen next year? Do you think the Republicans will take back the House and the Senate?
So the House, we should take it back, assuming there's no funny business. The Senate, a little bit more difficult. I think we could take back 2-3 more seats. Hopefully, just have the majority. For me, I'm more focused with DeSantis and Abbott. Abbott, I think, might lose in the primary against like Matt McConaughey, the actor. He might run against him in the primary, which should be interesting. DeSantis has a tough battle because they have some former Republicans that have become Democrats that run against him. Like I think the guy's name is Chris Christie or something like that. No, not Chris Christie. Sorry, that's here, New Jersey. Something Christ. Yeah, there's a former Florida governor who has like the surname Christ.
Or something like Charlie Crist.
Something like that, but he was a former Republican. He's running against him.
Charlie Crist was a Republican, then he switched to a Democrat, then he became independent or something. I mean, he's all over the place. Yeah, he was Republican. He was the governor of Florida. He was a Republican, and then at some point he switched to Democrat.
He became a Democrat when the Tea Party came about, something to do with Obama, and he thought it was racist or something.
And he became when it became obvious to him that he couldn't win in a primary. So then he became a Democrat, and I believe now he's like a congressman, right?
I'm not sure, but he's running against him. Like he announced like last month or earlier this month, and he's a strong candidate. I'm not going to take that away from him. And also, he was former Republican. He's a conservative.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's welcomed at many, Republican parties because.
But he still has establishment money, and again, Florida's a swing state. It is a swing state, so he has a chance.
I think there's so much talent in Florida that they don't need a Charlie Crist, right?
I think that DeSantis should win re-election easily.
Florida is basically the GOP hub right now. It's like It's like the center of attention, right? Because
Ronnie, I want to tell you something. When we went to CPAC, I was living in Tennessee at the time, I went to CPAC. I'm living all over the place. You know me. I'm always on the road. So we drove into Florida, and one of the first things you notice is "Welcome to Florida" sign, palm trees, everything. And you also notice a big Trump mural, like just Trump. Florida is Trump country.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that word from him. But it is a swing state, and you do have some liberals that want to vote for the things that they let escape New York, for and escape California for.
Right. I've noticed that in Florida, George P. Bush, the son of Jeb Bush, he's the land commissioner there. And I think he's coming up. I think he's trying to primary the attorney general in Texas now. He's thinking about challenging
Paxton.
Yeah.
Paxton's very popular here, man. That's gonna be tough. Paxton is extremely popular.
Yeah, but George P. Bush, I think, is thinking about challenging him because we all know that he obviously wants to try to succeed where his dad failed. Right? Jeb Bush couldn't win. Right? So, George P. probably wants to become senator or governor of Texas and then at some point run for president.
Yep.
But I think, George P. Bush, I think he's got a shot. He's got the last name. Shot. He is Hispanic, right? I think he's a charismatic guy. So I think he very well could succeed where his dad didn't. So
but Texas is not New York or Jersey, man. People here they try to look beyond ethnicity. Right. It's not like New York where like you're Dominican. I mean, I'm Dominican American, you vote Dominican. No, it's very different here. Values are very important.
His last name, Bush, especially in Texas.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Has great value. All right, Mike. One last question before we see you off tonight. I know you've got a busy schedule. Do you
always
think?
For you, Ronnie. I'm always open for you, brother. You know that.
Thank you, buddy.
I'll make time for you.
Do you think Donald Trump will run for president in 2024?
I think he will.
Yeah.
My sources say that he is seriously considering it, and that he probably will. But if he doesn't run, I would and be upset if DeSantis were to run. DeSantis is basically Trump part two, right? So continuation of Trump. So I think he will with DeSantis as running mate. But if he doesn't, I'm sure that it'll be DeSantis, and he will have Trump's full support.
Okay, great. All right. Well, Mike, I wish you the best of luck in Texas. I know you've got a lot of things going on right now. You're working on your startup, on a bunch of ventures out there. You mentioned that you're focusing more on your spiritual life right now, right? And you're trying to put politics on the back burner. But I know you, being a student of politics, being a political
I've never.
animal,
Yeah.
you'll come back around. All right. So
I'll see you when you think. You never know. I'll pop up. I might be there tomorrow. I'm kidding, but you know what I mean.
We're gonna have you back on our show very, very soon. All right. Let's make it a regular thing. All right.
Make it an in-person thing next time I'm on your show.
Sure,
New
man.
Jersey.
Next time you're down in, next time you're over here on the East Coast, let me know, buddy.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
All
it.
right,
It's always a
buddy.
pleasure talking to you, man.
Have a good night and
brother.
stay safe in Texas. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye, buddy.
Oh.
All right, great. So, guys, that was a great interview with Mike Reyes. Like I said, I knew Mike from many years ago when we were both in Asia. He was doing his master's. I was doing my master's and my PhD. And then Mike, he moved back to the U.S. a couple of years ago, and he's been involved in politics on the East Coast ever since. And now he's in Texas because he's had it with the East Coast. All right, but, we're happy to catch up with Mike, and we hope to have him on again very, very soon. All right, next on our program, we have a very good friend of mine, Joseph Vizo Jr. He started off as my competitor. So we were running for county commissioner a few months ago. Me, Tim Walsh, my running mate now, and Joe Viso. There were three of us vying for two open spots. At the end of the convention, me and Tim were the top two vote getters. Not to brag, but I was actually the top vote getter. Tim came in second, but anyway, so it's the two of us, and then Joe he gracefully decided to step away and support us. But I gotta say, during the course of this campaign, I got to know Joe very well, and we became really, really great friends. So that's why I was super thrilled to hear when Joe announced that he was actually coming back into the political game. He was, I'm not going to say taking one for the team, but he is, trying to do right by the party, by our state, by our country, by putting his name out there. So he is putting his name in for state assembly in the 36th district. In that district, they sorely needed someone to run, and Joe answered the call. The party asked Joe, we know you've just had a campaign. You've been through a long campaign and you're probably tired. But can you do us this favor? Can you put your name back into the race for state assembly? And Joe has a lot going on, right? He's got a lot going on. He has his own business. He's an electrician, a licensed one, right? So he's got a lot of things going on. And I know that his son recently started a new venture where he basically is starting like a movie production company, and he has a movie studio in Jersey City, and Joe is actually taking care of that venture for his son. So Joe's got a lot of things going on. But when the party came to him, when they asked him if he could please step in and help us by running for state assembly, Joe, he did not bat an eye. He said, "Sure, I am in." And that's the kind of fighter we need in our party. That's the kind of fighter we need in our state. And then the 36th district, that's what they need, right? That district right now is not being represented by the leadership there. It's a Democrat district. And the leadership that's been in that seat has been in there for many, many years, right? And they're not listening to the needs of the people, and there's no accountability. So that's why Joe Viso is running for state assembly in the 36th district along with his running mates. The only caveat is that because they missed the deadline, because there were, problems with the ballots, some technical problems, they missed the deadline. So Joe Viso and his running mates need to be written in on the ballot for the primary. So for every Republican or independent voter who's watching this right now and who lives in the 36th legislative district in New Jersey, we need you to write in Joseph Vizo Jr. for state assembly. We need you to write in his name so he can be on the ballot. Joseph Vizo Jr., that's how you spell it. Joe needs at least 100 people to write in his name on the ballot in the primary. That's on June 8th. If you've received your ballot, you can write it in now and send it in. If you haven't, you can go to your ballot box on June 8th and write in Joseph Vizo Jr. He needs you. The district needs you. Our state needs you, right? And our country needs you to do this, all right? Joseph Vizo Jr. So without further ado, let's bring on Joe. Let's talk to him. Let's talk to Joe and see why he wants to run. Well, we know why he wants to run because the party needs him to run, right? But what he intends to bring to the party and what he intends to bring to the table when he's elected as the next assemblyman from the 36th district. Hi, Joe. How are you, buddy?
Hello, Dr. Ronald Lynn. How are you? Thanks
Good, man.
for having me.
So
that was
Joseph,
a beautiful lead-in, I have to say.
Oh, thank you, man. Well, it only sounded beautiful because everything I said was absolutely true.
Except for me handling most of my son's business. He would have a heart attack. The kid worked hard. I can't take that credit from him. But yeah, listen, we have no representation here in the 36th, and we haven't for some time.
Right.
Been all Democrat led for God knows how many years. Well, we know how many years, but for far too long. Our small businesses are struggling. They're putting them out of business. They constantly raise taxes. That's their answer for everything. They're just killing us. There really is no one representing us here. And
okay, now Joseph,
I'm here.
Why don't you give us a little rundown about who you are?
Who I am.
Who are you?
Listen, I've been called a lot of things. Who am I? Listen, I'm just a guy from New Jersey, born in North Carolina. My dad was in the Army, training to be a medic during the earlier parts of 1971. And other than that, I've been in Bergen County my whole life. Most of that time I've spent right here in Carlstadt. Grew up here from the age of 7 till now. We're still here. I served in town as a coach, recreation coach, football, baseball, a little bit of wrestling. You name it. Over the years, I did what I could with the kids. I served on the fire department for almost 5 years. Completed the fire school at Bergen County Police and Fire Academy. And I did 2 full apprenticeships. I'm a licensed electrician, as you know. I also did a second apprenticeship as a elevator mechanic, design, you name it, as a local 3 electrician. As a small businessman, I saw Bill Clinton sign all of our manufacturing jobs away. The Meadowlands was a bustling hub for many years. We had tons of manufacturing. There's tons of warehouses there still now. Just they're empty. A lot of them are just empty. We need to do something to regenerate manufacturing, generate jobs. We can't just keep giving all of our jobs to these big corporations and driving money out to Texas, right? There's your buddy in Texas right now. And where's all our money going? To Texas or to Florida? And that's what happens when you raise taxes through the roof, when you threaten capital gains taxes on everyone. Wealth just leaves. Jobs leave. It doesn't help anyone. We're weaning our whole society on I hate to say it like this. We're turning everybody into welfare junkies, right? I want my grandchildren to have the same opportunity that I had. Okay, I was certainly not born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but what I did know was that I had the ability to get an education, and if I educated myself, I would put myself in the best position to get a good job, a good career, whatever what have you. I was able to start a company. I was able to build a company. Hey, listen, later on things kind of went sideways for me, because I know you did want to ask me if you will. I'll wait till you get there. But things went sideways after I got sick. But that's neither here nor there. The fact is that if we keep on going in this direction, we are going to completely paralyze small business to a point where it's not going to be able to come back. And I over my dead body. So, I did give you a hard time in that commissioner's race.
Yeah, you
I'm
did. Yeah,
gonna give
you
you a
gave
hard
me
time.
my money.
I gotta say, you know what? Listen, you guys earned every vote you got. I respect both of you guys for winning the primary, whatever you call it, the convention.
Yeah, convention. Yeah.
But don't forget, I only did start in February, and I got a very good percentage of the votes. Matter of fact, I believe 90%, if not more, of my district, plus about 15. Listen, I'm not going to go Joe Biden on statistics right now, because someone will fact check me. The fact checkers check my facts.
Right.
On the
Well, the one thing that you do have in common with Joe Biden is that you're in the basement.
Name Joe. Right? That's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you got two things in common. Your name is Joe, and you're in the basement now. So,
well, yeah.
So we got another basement Joe here.
I leave the basement.
Right.
I'm not afraid to answer questions.
Yeah.
I will always answer questions. You might not like what I have to say, but I will answer them.
Right. All right. So, Joe.
Yes.
So one thing I wanted to say is that, you actually are a very, very lucky guy, right? You came back from some serious long odds. In fact, you came back from the longest odds. You were actually dead. You were clinically dead,
yes,
right? For those of you who may not know, Joe is a cancer survivor. I believe a 2-time cancer survivor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the last time you had a bout with cancer, you actually died. Your heart stopped on the operating table, right? It stopped.
Yeah, they broke
for how many minutes? For like how many minutes?
Somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes. I don't even want to go back and find out.
Yeah, so I mean, you were clinically dead for 3 or 4 minutes. They actually wrote down on their little chart, like time of death, right? And then by some miracle, you came back, right? You came back because someone upstairs thought, you know what, Joe Viso Jr., I'm not done with you yet. You still got a lot more to do.
Yeah, he had a sense of humor. He made me get into the political race.
Yeah, you have a lot more work to accomplish. And he, sent your ass back here. And now you're back. And now you're running for office, for state assembly in quite arguably, the most populous or at least one of the most important states in our country, right? You're running for state assembly in New Jersey, which is like the most populated small state that there is in Jersey. And it's a very powerful state, right? We're right next to New York City. I know that Jersey gets, overlooked, but we actually have a very big economy. We're a very powerful state. And you're running for an assembly seat in one of the most powerful states in this country, and albeit in this world.
Very well, maybe the most powerful county.
Yeah. And by the way, Bergen County is the most, I want to say it's the most populous, and it's the richest county in New Jersey, right?
It is, but, we have so many different, there's 70 towns in our county alone, I believe I have 15 towns in my district alone, and there's just so many. There's rich, there's poor, there's everything in the middle,
Right.
right? So depending on what part of the county you're in, what part of town you're in. For instance, we did that one meet and greet in North Arlington. I believe there was 3 counties in the center of that one intersection.
Right.
Bergen, Hudson, and Essex, right? They all meet up at the same point. I have Passaic is part of my district, so we there's a lot of challenges that we have. We have the Meadowlands here. There's we're New York's little brother, so to speak.
Right.
But what makes New York run? New York doesn't run without New Jersey. It just doesn't. It's an island. They need us. I'll tell you what. They generally don't call repairmen from New York. We wind up running out to the city from New Jersey. It's a wonderful thing because there's a lot of business in this area. But our businesses are getting killed. For instance, contractors, an electrician like myself, other contractors, plumbers have to do the same thing. There's a law called ERISA, and it costs contractors about $6,000 just to have the opportunity to bid public work, and it cuts small contractors right out. And the large what happens here is, and this happens with the minority jobs as well, where you have the economic zones where you have low tax, and they'll have, say, minority. They'll say, we're going to give the work to the minority. What happens is there's not enough minority people in the trades. First of all, we really need to get people educated, bring more people into the trades. That's another whole conversation all on its own, bringing people in. But what's happening with these minority contracts a lot of times is they'll hire one person and then they'll subcontract it out to a contractor out of the county, out of the area. So the people in our communities are not getting the work. It's leaving the area. And on top of it, Phil Murphy's, listen, I know a lot of people are going to get upset with me, but that $300 extra that everyone gets every week and that unemployment check is keeping people from getting a job. And it's hurting businesses even more. These businesses are struggling enough just to keep their lights on. Imagine you're paying your bills. COVID comes up. Your bills don't stop. The work stops. Now you can't get anybody to do the little bit of work that you do have. And if you're going to get anyone, you have to pay them much more to maybe not even show up because unemployment's
right.
So there's a lot of issues we have to work on. They're all fixable. They're all, we can improve on a lot of things, and we need to start doing that. Our assemblyman and our senator has left us to hang here. So,
all right, now Joe, can you explain to the audience a little bit about the situation you're in right now with the write-in ballots?
Sure.
Can you explain that?
Sure. Well, first of all, Chris Ariama, he's not going to like this. I don't think he likes putting his first name as Kristen. It's a male spelling, I will say that. And I'm going to tell you, this guy's a soldier. He's tough. He and his brother are both tough guys. But it's his, well, I'm going to set up the proper spellings, but I believe his is Christin. Ariama. We're just going to post their last name because it's hard to spell. And what they're doing is, there was a problem with the signatures for their petition. I don't know exactly what it was, but there was a problem. They had to withdraw the petition. With that said, we were left without a ballot. We had no senator candidate, and both assembly seats were going to go unchallenged. And I was sick to my stomach when I heard that was going to happen. So what we need is everyone who has already received a write-in ballot. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy or something to show you right now, but what people that have the write-in ballot just need to go to the section for District 36 and write Kristen Ariama in for Senator, Craig Ariama for Assembly, and of course yours truly, Joseph Viso, Jr. for Junior. The names have to be spelled correctly, otherwise we won't even be able to run a campaign. We're going to sit on the sidelines, and it'll be a shame because there's room for gains this year. The Democrats have really overplayed their hand, and it's a shame because I don't recognize the Democratic Party as the Democratic Party any longer. I just see it as an enemy of the state. It's nothing less.
Right. So to everyone who's watching right now, or who will watch later, if you're from the 36th district, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, right? They have to be registered Republican or an unaffiliated voter, right? Or an unaffiliated voter.
Correct.
You can write in Joseph Vizo Jr.'s name, write his name in the ballot if you're in the 36th district to get his name on the ballot this November, all right? So they need 100 people to write their names in.
Let's go with 300. Don't stop at 100. Let's get 3. Make sure someone's going to spell a name wrong. You know there's always something wrong with it. And I want to be out there on the campaign trail with you, Ron. We're going to have some fun. We're going to cross party lines because most everybody I know that's over 30, I'll leave out my comment on unless, but most people over 30 realize that they're Republicans. They just don't see it. The word liberal is very deceiving. Liberal is really not liberal anymore. So for what it's worth, I truly respect you for what you've done. You guys really worked hard. I'm proud of you. Be proud to be out there on the trail with you. And when we do take office, we're going to make a difference. It's going to take some time. We need a few elections to get some more Republicans in there.
Yep.
Right. But
so everybody, you have until June 8th to write in Joseph Vizo Jr.'s name on your ballot. If you have a mail-in ballot, just write in Joseph Vizo Jr. If you're going to the polls on June 8th, which is primary day, you can, of course, write in Joe's name on that day too, right?
Yeah.
So, so he needs at least 100 people to write his name in, at least 100, right?
At least 100.
At least 100. I mean, if there's more, that's even better. But at least 100 people need to write his name in exactly as it's spelled on the screen right here, right, Joe? Joseph Vizo Jr.
Yes.
It needs to be written in, typed in, or whatever, written in that exact way for it to qualify. So, Joe, you know, you're immensely popular. I know in the 36th district, and I know in Carlstadt, almost everybody knows you. So I think you shouldn't have a problem getting those 100 names, right?
Well, everybody knows me. We don't know how much
they like
me.
Everybody knows you. That doesn't mean that they like you, right? But, you know, Joe, it's too bad I don't live in the 36th district because if I did, you'd have at least one vote, right?
I hope I have more.
Well, Joe, I mean, you've got like 4 kids, right? And you've got a wife. So right there is like at least five votes, right? And
I'll get 2 out of the 5. I don't know. Listen, it depends on the day. My daughter, it depends on whether daddy was nice.
Now, of course, you can also write in your own name, right?
Yes, of course. Okay. I'm going to vote for myself.
Right.
I expect to have about, all 5 of my family, immediate family will vote. I expect to get, listen, I hope to get 50 to 100 just from Carlstadt alone. If I don't, I'm doing something wrong. But then again, this all happened last minute.
Yeah.
So
Joe, why don't you tell us, a little bit about your son's new venture? Because I know that you mentioned that your son he recently bought or rented a property in Jersey City that he's going to convert into like a movie studio. Can you tell us, a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah. My son's a director. He flies all over the country. Uh, I think in the last month and a half, he's been California, LA, Texas, Florida. Someone wants to fly him to Lithuania. But I mean, he's been Atlanta, you name it, New York. New York, New Jersey is his home, but he's all over the place.
Right.
And they leased a place in Jersey City. It's a nice sized warehouse. It's a great start for them to be able to do movies, TV shows. They do a lot of music videos. That's their primary business. Uh, they're going to be doing some political ads. But my son he's very highly sought after in the music industry. Matter of fact, he called me up not too long ago, and I joke about it because I had gotten COVID not long ago, and I called him up. We called him up just to let him know as soon as we got the diagnosis, and he says, "Well, Dad, I think you just got Method Man. You gave Method Man COVID from Wu-Tang Clan." Which was,
Really?
that's one of our childhood major rap,
Yeah.
major rap group. One of the largest. He does a lot of large, big artists. He doesn't say anything to mom and dad until we hear about it afterwards.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't be prouder. He's an amazing director. You can check him out right now on It's Viso is the name of his website, but they haven't named the studio yet. They're waiting for the right name.
Okay.
But certainly, I appreciate you giving me a chance to plug his studio. But as soon as we have a name, I'll be able to plug it a little bit better.
Sure.
But
And maybe at some point we can, your son can let me film some, campaign ads there.
Well, I'll tell you. Matter of fact, the main room is about 80 by 60, and it's got 25-foot ceilings. And you're doing what's called a cyc wall, which is it's a top to bottom, and it goes around the corner. So when they shoot, it looks like it's an endless scene. So you could put, they can make it look like the Alaskan tundra is behind you, and you're in the middle of the tundra. I mean, that's how amazing of
Wow.
a director he is, and they're going to be doing. Listen, Lord knows what they're going to do out of there, but my son's got a vision, and it's large because he's already planned. He's got a long-term plan. He wants a studio in Texas. He wants one in LA, but we're going to turn New York and New Jersey into the new Hollywood because everyone's getting out of Hollywood, and we're not going to let Murphy turn.
Well, actually,
California.
it's interesting. But,
Texas.
Well, it's actually interesting, but New Jersey used to be the original Hollywood. I mean, Fort Lee, right?
Yeah.
Used to be the movie central area. Yeah, that's where they used to make all the movies in Fort Lee, right?
And New York,
Jersey.
New York,
right? Yeah.
Is
but then at some point, I believe, like in the 1920s or whenever, they moved all the operations over to California, to Hollywood, right? Because I guess it was cheaper there, and then that's the way it is now. Oh, I see.
That's my wife sneaking by.
Hello, Mrs. Vizo.
Hi. She says hello. But yeah, listen.
Speaking of which, yeah, one last question I wanted to ask you before we call it a night. So when you, because I know your wife and your kids, they've been through this whole campaign process when you ran for county commissioner. When you told them, "Hey, hon, I'm going to give it another go. I'm going to run for state assembly," was your wife like, "Oh, not again"?
Nah, what? My family's not even fazed by it because they know every so often they were fazed by it the first time. It was initially for about half a second. They were like, all right. It's Dad. He does these kind of things, and
right.
I follow through. I don't do that. I'm not doing this as a whim. I'm not doing this to be a throwaway candidate. I know write-ins are normally not respected as a serious candidate. But you can bet your ass I'm a serious candidate.
No, Joe, trust me, you're a serious candidate. And once you get written in, your opponents on the Democratic side, they're going to get to know and understand how serious you are.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Yep.
Absolutely.
On that note, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been great catching up with you. I hope to see you tomorrow night at my fundraiser.
All my love to your wife and little Donald. Your son's absolutely cute. He's the cutest. I can't wait to see him. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Awesome.
As long as I don't drop dead from working in the heat tomorrow.
All right. Well, make sure you drink plenty of water tomorrow, Joe, because I want to see you tomorrow night.
We have a lot of work to do, Ron.
That's right.
We have a big election to win. We need to win this election, and
we need to win it, and we will win it because, as Republicans, as good Americans, we always perform the best when everything is on the line, and everything is really on the line this time, right? So we're going to do well.
That that was one of the things I was going to bring up to you is that's when I do best is when I'm under pressure.
Yep.
I generally sometimes I just perform better for some reason that way. And
I think that's the American spirit. I think that's the American spirit that's within all of us, right?
When someone tells you you cannot, that's when you do.
That's when you work the hardest. That's when you prove them wrong, right?
Yeah. Ronnie, you're going to be you're an awesome candidate for commissioner, and
thank you, Joe.
I know you're going to win this election. We don't have a choice because it's our kids' future, and we have to save it.
Thank you, Joe. All right, Joe. We'll catch up soon, okay? And we'll have you back on. Maybe next time we'll have you and your running mates on, okay?
That would be wonderful. Bring it on.
All right, thank you, Joe. Good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, be well.
See you tomorrow. Love you, brother. Bye-bye.
Take care.
All righty, so there you have it. We just had our 2 interviews with Mike Reyes and Joe Viso. Joe Viso is running for state assembly in the 36th district. And once again, if you're in the 36th district, if you're a Republican voter or an unaffiliated voter, please, please, please write in Joseph Vizo Jr. for state assembly. He needs at least 100 people to write his name in. And once that happens, his name will appear on the ballot on the general election, all right, this fall. So we need good fighters like Joe to fight for all of us down in Trenton. It's more important now than ever before. All right, guys, I have a fundraiser tomorrow. My first joint fundraiser is going to be Nanny, and it's going to be at Nanny's at Rochelle Park, Nanni. It's a beautiful Italian restaurant. It's family owned for over 30 years. We're going to have our first joint fundraiser there tomorrow from 7 to 9. So if you're in the area, if you want to hang out, if you want to come see me, please stop by. It's going to go towards a great cause, which is my campaign, right? We're going to win this year. We're going to win. All right, so for all of you who are watching, please vote for me. Please vote for the entire Republican column on June 8th for the primary, right? Once we get past the primary, we can focus on general race in November. All right, guys. Thanks for watching my show tonight. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. God bless you. Peace out, and I'll see you next time, okay? I'll see you next Sunday on the 30th. Same time, same place with new guests, okay? Exciting guests that you're going to love. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.